Ask everyone to please rise for the singing of the national anthem. All right, item 1.0 is additions to the agenda. Seeing none, take a motion to adopt the agenda as presented. Councillor Long, all in favor? That's carried. 3.0 is corrections or amendments to the January 11th regular meeting of council minutes or the January 11th special meeting of council minutes. Councillor Bossert.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Under the regular meetings of January 11th, 2017 at 3.1, corrections or amendments to the December 14th minutes, it reads that there were no corrections or amendments to the December 14, 2017 regular meeting of council minutes. So just a date error.
Okay, that's noted. Anything further? Item 4.0, I'll take a motion to adopt the January 11th regular meeting council minutes and special meeting and council minutes as corrected. Councillor Bossert, all in favor? That is carried. Item 5.0, we have a proclamation, if I can find it. As many of you know, this is our 60th anniversary of the incorporation of the town of Drayton Valley to the date on February 1st. Without further ado, I'm happy to read a proclamation to that effect. Whereas Drayton Valley was incorporated as a town on February 1st, 1957, and whereas our human history, including our Indigenous predecessors, early settlers, and present-day residents, combined with the beauty and majesty of our natural surroundings, make Drayton Valley a truly unique community within Alberta. Whereas the discovery of the Pembina oil field sparked a protracted period of growth and development in our community over the course of the ensuing decades. And whereas, consistent with the pioneering spirit that drove the initial development of Drayton Valley, our community continues to benefit from the extraordinary contributions of our citizens towards countless local programs, initiatives, projects, and organizations that continue to build our resilience as a community. And whereas the town of Drayton Valley is celebrating its 60th anniversary with numerous events planned for 2017, together with the introduction of the 60th anniversary grant, which provides assistance to locally based organizations to promote and celebrate our 60th anniversary throughout the year. Therefore, I, Mayor Glenn McLean, on behalf of the Town Council, hereby proclaim the 60th anniversary of the town of Drayton Valley and officially recognize its community leaders and citizens, past and present, for their remarkable accomplishments and contributions to the life of our community. I have to say that's my favorite proclamation, at least this year. Item 6.0, sorry, I wanted to mention too, It's not noted on the agenda, but our provincial organization that we're all urban municipalities are a part of, AUMA, had recently passed a resolution requesting the Government of Alberta to proclaim February 13th as Oil and Gas Awareness Day in Alberta. And so I thought that was particularly relevant given our history and given that we've actually noted that in the significance of the industry and our development as a community in the proclamation. So, carrying on to item 6.0, Community Spotlight we haven't had for a little while on these agendas. 6.1 is the 60th anniversary commemorations, and I will call upon the ad hoc 60th anniversary committee of council to take the podium and surprise us.
Good morning. I bring greetings from our Lieutenant Governor, Her Honor, the Honorable Lois Mitchell, Lieutenant Governor of Alberta. As Her Majesty the Queen's representative in Alberta, it is my honor to join in celebrating the town of Drayton Valley's 60th anniversary of incorporation. It is a privilege to celebrate Drayton Valley's exceptional spirit, which I am confident will prevail for many years to come. Alberta is fortunate to benefit from such remarkable, enterprising community. Over the past 60 years, the people of Drayton Valley have worked hard to create success, whether it relates to infrastructure, business, friendship, family, or philanthropy, by instilling the values of citizenship and leadership. You can all be proud of the numerous accomplishments and successes achieved, and I'm sure there are many more to come. I would like to offer my appreciation and gratitude to all those, past and present, for all that they have done to contribute to this wonderful town. I wish you the very best for a successful and flourishing future. Again, this is Her Honor, the Right Honorable Lois Mitchell, Lieutenant Governor of Alberta. I'm back. This is from Jim Inglinski, our Member of Parliament for Yellowhead. Today, we celebrate the town of Drayton Valley's 60 years of hard work, success, and accomplishments. From forestry to agriculture, through the revolutionary discovery of oil and gas in the region, Drayton Valley has long provided its residents with fulfilling lives. Apart from being a leader in the oil and gas sector, the town is a trailblazer in sustainability and environment responsibility. I am proud of the work Drayton Valley is doing in the biomile, leading in innovation and research development. The past 60 years have proven the resourcefulness and resiliency of some of Alberta's finest residents. As your Member of Parliament, it is my honor and privilege to congratulate the town of Drayton Valley on this exciting anniversary. May the next 60 years be generous and twice as bountiful. Again, this is from Mr. Jim Inglinski, our Member of Parliament from Yellowhead.
I bring greetings from the Honorable Danielle Larive, Minister of Municipal Affairs for the Government of Alberta. Congratulations on Drayton Valley's 60th anniversary. Alberta is a collection of vibrant communities, each making a special contribution to our great province. Drayton Valley is no exception. Officially established as the town of Drayton Valley on February 1st, 1957, the town is one of the many communities that have shaped this great province. It emerged as a stronghold for lumberjacks, then farmers, and grew with the discovery of one of the largest oil fields in North America. More than half a century later, it has the same charm and charisma that attracted the first pioneers and explorers. For the people that call Drayton Valley home, and for all Albertans, we are proud of our strong heritage and of our unshakable belief that we can do anything we set our minds to. We know the fate of successful communities and successful municipalities are entwined. The success of a community, area, or region is dependent on the relationship between municipalities. We need to harness our collective strength to ensure Drayton Valley and all of Alberta continues to prosper next year and for the next 10, 60, and 100 years to come. I am excited about the future of this province and the future of communities like the town of Drayton Valley. Let's continue to build this great province together by working across municipal boundaries and investing in families, jobs, and communities. Working together, we can look forward to many more years of prosperity, diversity, and innovation. I am very proud of all that the town of Drayton Valley has achieved. Congratulations and best wishes. Sincerely, the Honorable Danielle Larive, Minister of Municipal Affairs. And finally, greetings from our MLA, Mark Smith, Shadow Minister for Seniors Housing and Mental Health. Drayton Valley is 60 years old. 60 years of community, 60 years of growth, 60 years of evolution, 60 years of life. My family has lived in Drayton Valley for 30 years. We have seen Drayton Valley grow from a small town that while it may have lacked some of the big city amenities, it made up for that lack of amenities with a strong sense of community. Over the past 60 years, the town has grown, matured, and while today we have most of the big city amenities, we have maintained our small town sense of community and the corresponding relationships that make for an unparalleled quality of life. It is that sense of community that has helped us overcome the difficulties of life over the past 60 years and helped us to cooperate and plan for our future. And what a future we have. A sound base of agriculture, timber, oil and gas, and an entrepreneurial spirit that is matched with a high level of experience and education ensures that Drayton Valley is poised for a great future. So let us move into the future with confidence, being grateful for the sound foundation of those who had helped to build this amazing community. Let us continue to pull together so in another 60 years, future generations will be able to benefit from our wise choices, vision, and hard work. Sincerely, Mark Smith, MLA, Shadow Minister of Seniors, Housing, and Mental Health.
Thank you. So,
There are no more letters.
there's no more letters. No. So for over 1,000 years, originating with the Dukes of Normandy, civic authorities have borne an official seal incorporating the arms of the authority. This seal was originally worn on a chain around the neck of the chief official. This practice evolved into the modern chain of office adopted by many municipalities. The practice of wearing a chain of office has become steeped in historic tradition which honors our past. The Town of Drayton Valley Chain of Office is composed of several symbolic elements joined together. The official Town of Drayton Valley crest. Our official crest shows 3 derricks honoring our oil and gas heritage, a maple leaf honoring Canada, and the Alberta wild rose, the official flower of Alberta. Above the crest hangs the Alberta shield. The shield represents the natural resources, beauty of the varied Alberta landscape, the Rocky Mountains and their foothills, the grass prairies, the cultivated wheat fields, and the St. George's Cross as an allusion to the arms of the Hudson Bay Company, which once controlled what is now Alberta. There are 2 flanking maple leaves celebrating Canada's 150th birthday. These medallions are placed upon a Canadian beaver pelt symbolizing our fur trade history. Anchoring the chain of office is the new Town of Drayton Valley logo on the back. We have left 2 blank spaces on either side where we will be engaging the public in a design for 4 additional medallions in this, our 60th anniversary year. So the mayor wears the chain of office on ceremonial occasions when he or she appears in his or her office official capacity as a mark of pride in the town in which we live. It also acknowledges the responsibility, authority, and dignity which are attached to the office of every chief elected official from 2017 moving forward. For example, the chain of office would be worn at ceremonial events such as the swearing-in ceremonies, first meeting of council, and official visits. When not in use, the chain of office will be on display. So in recognition of the 60 years we have been incorporated as a community, we would like to present the Town of Drayton Valley Chain of Office to the municipality. If we could now call upon the Honourable Mayor McLean to accept on the municipality's behalf.
So as part of the 60th anniversary, we've basically looked at the events that we currently provide, and we are looking at enhancing some of those events over the course of the year. And part of that is also utilizing our Instagram feed that we have as well, like to engage the community. So our communications department have put together an excellent little frame that's going to be going to be at each of the events that we're going to be having for the 60th anniversary, so you can do an Instagram photo. So what I was going to ask, and you can participate if you like, since it is our 60th anniversary today, could we get a group photo, not just council, but anybody in the room that would like to join in the photo? We could get a photo that we could put on our Instagram feed. That would include Mr. Schuler. You don't get off. Any staff that would like to join? Any public, since we have public here? Fire chief, you guys don't, like, really ask you, yeah. Sounds good. So this is not an ask. Mike? Well, let's frame. Yeah. Let's do that. Yeah, we can just do more. So let's get go ahead.
Everybody really close.
Really tight, guys. Here, I love each other.
We're going to do one different one. We're actually going to do a panoramic photo so that everybody can see. Perfect.
Happy birthday. Yep, sit down.
So does that concludes item 6.0, I gather? I want to say thank you. This is fabulous. And it's fabulous not because I get to wear it for the first time, but a chain of office means something to a community. It means, it's reflective of our history, of our people, what they've experienced over the years since our founding as a community. And as you can see with the blank plates that will be completed by the community this year, it will be reflective of how far we've come as a community. I'm a fan of history, and if you don't know your history, you're missing out. So, thank you again. Item 7.0 is our decision items. 7.1, Councillor Nadeau, Bylaw 2017-1B, Amendment to the Town of Drayton Valley Council Code of Conduct. Councillor Nadeau.
Thank you, Mayor. Council has expressed its desire to ensure the governance processes are set out clearly, precisely, and in accordance with the Municipal Government Act. Governance is the major role of council and is therefore relevant to the services of the municipality. The provincial government passed the Modernized Municipal Government Act on December 6, 2016. As a result of the legislative change, administration reviewed the Council Code of Conduct Bylaw 2013-17B and is proposing an amending bylaw to allow for the inclusion of training for elected officials. The proposed amending bylaw is attached for Council's review and consideration. Council may provide all 3 readings today or separate readings between multiple meetings. I have several options being presented before me. I choose to move that with option number 1, I move that Council provide all 3 meetings in one sitting.
I motion that the council give first reading to bylaw 2017-01B, amendment to the Town of Drayton Valley Council Code of Conduct, bylaw 2013-17B.
Thank you, Councillor Nadeau. Any discussion on this motion? Councillor Bossert?
Oh, sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think it's important to point out that the only reason for this amendment is because of the changes to the modernized Municipal Government Act, and it facilitates an extra component of training to councillors that serve the community, and this just allows for that to have a smooth and clear transition from the existing bylaw. So we have had a Councilor's Code of Conduct for some time, and this is just an addition to it.
It is. It's an important addition. Of course, this is this amendment is a legislative requirement. The regulations to the new amendments to the Act will be forthcoming from the provincial government later this spring, we hope, we expect. And those regulations may necessitate further amendments, but we won't know until they're produced. In any event, this is an important change. It's a welcome change, and it encourages our council to be once again leaders among municipalities in our accountability practices. So, with that, I'll call the question on the motion. All in favor? That is carried. Councillor Nadeau.
That council give second reading to bylaw 2017-01B, amendment of the Town of Drayton Valley Council Code of Conduct, bylaw 2013-17B.
Any discussion on this motion? All in favor? That is carried. Councillor Nadeau.
That council consider giving third and final reading to bylaw 2017-01B, amendment of the Town of Drayton Valley Council Code of Conduct, bylaw 2013-17B.
Thank you. And of course, this motion is when you have all three readings of a bylaw at one sitting, you have to have consent of council to proceed to third and final reading. All in favor of this motion? That is carried. Councillor Nadeau.
That council give third and final reading to bylaw 2017-01B, amendment of the Town of Drayton Valley Code of Conduct, bylaw 2013-17B.
Thank you. Any discussion on the final motion? All right. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you very much. We'll move on to item 7.2. Councillor Long, the amended committee structure.
Thank you. Council recently discussed the current vacancies on the Brazo Seniors Foundation, Clean Energy Technology Centre Committee, and Homelessness and Poverty Reduction Committee with Councillor Dean Schuler's resignation. Councillors Wheeler, Frederickson and Long respectively volunteered to fill these vacancies. The matter is presented for council decision. It should be noted that a resolution was passed way back in May 17th, 2000 at the regular meeting of council, authorising that the mayor may designate any member of council to attend any committee meeting and vote on behalf of the town. This resolution was passed to ensure that all committee meetings have a member of the Drayton Valley Town Council present and capable of voting on the town's behalf. Rare instances do arise where both the appointed representative and the alternate are unable to attend the meeting. The amended committee structure is attached for council's review with the changes highlighted. Once approved, amended committee appointments will be forwarded to the applicable organisations and groups, as well as advertised in the newspaper. Therefore, I move that council approve the amended committee structure as attached.
Thank you, Councillor Long. Any discussion on the motion? All right. All in favour? That is carried. Councillor Wheeler.
Thank you. The Drayton Valley Triathlon Committee has presented a letter to Mayor McLean and Council regarding the 6th Annual Drayton Valley Triathlon, which is scheduled for May 13th, 2017. The committee is seeking the town's support for this annual event. Specifically, the committee is asking Council to allow the temporary closure of streets immediately surrounding Rotary Park and the roads utilized for the bike and run route. These closures would occur from 7 a.m. to approximately 3 p.m. on Saturday, May 13th, 2017. The temporary closures would affect the following roads, as attached on the map. Around Rotary Park, 51st Avenue between 49th Street and 48th Street, 52nd Avenue between 49th Street and 48th Street, 48th Street between 51st Avenue and 52nd Avenue, and the bike and run route goes on 48th Street between 52nd Avenue and 55th Avenue, 55th Avenue to Meyer Avenue and 43rd Street, 43rd Street between 55th Avenue and 50th Avenue, 50th Avenue between 43rd Street and Range Road 73, Beckett Road between 50th Avenue and 49th Avenue. The temporary road closure will help to ensure the safety of the triathlon participants, volunteers, and spectators. Therefore, I move that council approve the temporary road closure barricades and barricading of the following roads for the 6th Annual Drayton Valley Triathlon scheduled for May 13th, 2017, as listed below.
Thank you, Councillor Wheeler. Is there any discussion on this motion? Councillor Wheeler.
I just have a question on Beckett Road between 50th Avenue and 49th Avenue. If the road actually needs to be closed, or if there could just be someone on 49th Avenue saying it's closed at 50th? I don't know.
Pam?
Good morning.
Morning.
We close that chunk of road so that, because when they come right up to the corner of Beckett and 50th, there's nowhere to turn around. So at least at 49th, they can go down 49th and either turn around or come out at the far end of 50th Avenue. So we close that chunk just so we don't get a backlog of 2 years ago, we had a truck and trailer in there. And it's pretty hard to back up all that way, so that's why that little chunk is closed.
All right. Thank you. Anything further? Councillor Frederickson.
Yeah. Has the triathlon committee been struck? Just wondering where, and planning's underway then, hey? Cool, okay.
That's it? All right. All in favor? That is carried. Item 7.4, Councillor Bossert.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Town of Drayton Valley recognizes that there are nonprofit organizations that host community events to raise funds or that require donations for worthwhile projects, programs, and services. In an effort to support these organizations and their endeavors, the town may provide support grants to assist with the hosting of community events and initiatives. Funding applications are to be reviewed on a quarterly basis. The first quarter deadline was January 5th, 2017, and $5,000 is available for distribution. These events reflect the objectives of the Social Development Plan and our Community Sustainability Plan. Our first application is for the I Am Empowered Conference, which provides opportunities for healthy lifestyle through education and physical activities. The second application is for the 3rd Annual Pro Rodeo, which continues planning with community organizations and businesses to provide the appropriate rural cultural programs and facilities for the community. The third application is for the 6th Annual Black and White Ladies Diamond Gala, which is an event that encourages and supports local groups and organizations, businesses, and governments to work collaboratively. And the fourth application is for the National Archery In-School Program Provincials, which allows Drayton Valley to participate in wide-scale initiatives provincially and nationally which benefit the community. I have a number of options for each application, so I will go through each one of them. The only option for application 1 is I move that council declines the funding for the Aim for Success for the Aim for Success for its I Am Empowered Conference due to it being ineligible under the guidelines of the grant.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Bossert. Any discussion on this motion? All right, Councillor Frederickson.
With this one, and correct me if I'm wrong, administration, to my understanding with this particular grant, if we look at the minutes that were adopted at the beginning of this agenda, they were the recipients of the Safe and Healthy Communities grant, and our grant applications do not allow stacking of organizations stacking on grant dollars. And then also, I believe in this one, they have identified themselves as being linked with Wild Rose School Division, which we have a thing in our grant regarding educational institutions. So if you could just correct me if I'm wrong on the ineligibility of it.
Mr. Dibben, or Ms. Dreesen, sorry?
I can answer on
Yep.
behalf of administration. Yes, the applicant did identify the organization as the Wild Rose School Division, and educational institutions are not eligible for the community event grant by definition. However, there are certain things that we can certainly address with respect to the nature of the program, but unfortunately right now at this point in time they identified the organization as the Wild Rose School Division. With respect to funding programs, we certainly do take into account where funding sources are coming from. So with respect to this particular event, 2 other sources that the town is involved with granted funding dollars to the event. So certainly in terms of where we can get access to available funds, I think that they were appropriately served through those other 2 funding sources.
Anything further? All right, all in favor? That is carried. Councillor Bossert.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that council award the Drayton Valley Pro Rodeo Society's 3rd annual Pro Rodeo a sum of $1,500 to help fund the Omniplex rental fees and event insurance.
Any discussion of this motion? All right, Councillor Frederickson.
I am in support of what Councillor Bossert brings forward. And I've said to this council that I'm not one to be around the rodeo circuit. I don't know much about rodeos themselves, but having relates that are involved in the rodeo, I understand that it's a big deal for us to have a pro rodeo here in Drayton Valley, and I think that this is an excellent opportunity for our economic development and tourism initiatives that we're focused on.
Thank you. All right, all in favor? That is carried. Councillor Bossert.
I move that council award the Rotary Club of Drayton Valley's 6th annual Black and White Ladies Diamond Gala the sum of $500 to help cover the expenses of the event.
Thank you. Any discussion on this motion? Discussion? No. All in favor? That is carried. Councillor Bossert.
Finally, I move that council award the Safari Club International's 2017 National Archery in the Schools Program, NASP Provincials, the sum of $1,500 to help fund the venue rental, venue setting up, decorating, and event programs.
All right. Thank you. Any discussion on this motion? All right. Councillor Nadeau.
I just want to say in the past I've been able to view this as it was held in the Omniplex through the gym, and Councillor Ashley Wheeler and I and myself were able to watch it. And it's a wonderful experience to watch that many kids involved in just a healthy activity and getting out and the competitiveness, and it's great to see our local community group be so really great about organization in this event. So I'm really proud to support this grant request.
Yep. All in favor? That is carried. All right, thank you very much. Councillor Frederickson, item 7.5.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Item 7.5, ballot question. In June of 2014, in response to the numerous safety concerns received from the members of the community over the course of several years regarding traffic and speed enforcement, Town Council tasked administration with the negotiating and implementation of automated traffic enforcement, ATE. Since the inception of the ATE program in May 2015, the ATE contractor is required to obtain approval from the RCMP in establishing the speed allowances and enforcement locations in town. Through our administration, we have also addressed matters such as the time spent on specific enforcement locations and certain methods of enforcement. Statistical background and information. Since its inception in May of 2015, which was preceded by several months of public communication and education, the town has seen the following data generated. A. On average, ticketed drivers exceed the posted 30 kilometers per hour limit in school and playground zones by 46.33%. B, on average, ticketed drivers exceed the posted 50 kilometers an hour limit in high-traffic areas by 36.33%. And on average, ticketed drivers exceed the posted 70 kilometers an hour limit in specifically zoned areas by 27%. Our most current year-over-year statistical comparison of ATE shows the number of violation tickets issued in the third quarter of 2015 is 2,041 tickets, and the third quarter of 2016 is 1,044 tickets. This represents a year-over-year reduction of speed infractions by 48.85%. Statistical data reflects the reduction of violation tickets issued since the implementation of ATE through the average speeds above the posted limit range from 44% to 49% in excess in 30-kilometer-hour zones. All sites are selected pursuant to the guidelines set out by the province of Alberta. Photo radar sites are selected based on one or more of the following criteria: high-speed corridors, high collision locations, school and playground zones, construction zones and/or citizen concerns, and RCMP have signed off on designated sites in Drayton Valley. With the addition of stop sign red light enforcement in February of 2016, again preceded by public communication and education, Council sought to increase safety and responsiveness to community concerns. The highest volume of tickets issued occurred during the second quarter of the 2016 year, with some 564 violation tickets issued. This saw a marked decline in the following quarter, with 264 violation tickets issued, a reduction of stop sign red light infractions of 53.19% fewer tickets issued. The financial background. As of August 2016, violation tickets have resulted in net revenue of approximately $230,857 in fines, 50% of which is available for funding of safe and healthy community initiatives. Pursuant to the policy which established the distribution of funds, including the 50% allocation to community initiatives, the balance of the funds are distributed with 40% to Life Cycle Capital Replacement Plan and 10% forming the basis of the participatory budget. With the resignation of Dean Schuler and the calling of a by-election for the vacant council position, there is an opportunity to canvass the opinions of the citizens of Drayton Valley in the matter of ATE and its continued use in the town. Should council choose to have a vote on the question, also referred to as a plebiscite, pursuant to Section 236 of the Municipal Government Act, a resolution to do so shall be passed. Council may make a resolution regarding the wording of the question which is to be voted upon. Therefore, I move that council approve conducting a vote on a question on the matter of automated traffic enforcement in conjunction with the by-election for councillor on February 27th, 2017.
Thank you, Councillor Frederickson. Any discussion on this motion? Councillor Wheeler.
Thank you. After discussing ATE with citizens over the last couple of years and being elected to be the voice of the town, I feel at this time that there is not a definitive voice. I think it's a very polarized discussion, as we've all seen. When I got on council, there were numerous traffic complaints. I knocked on over 200 doors during the election, and half of the concerns I got were traffic related. ATE gave us the opportunity to help enforce the law without having to increase taxes for another RCMP member. And while I am personally in favor of enforcing the law, I hear continually from both sides that for the community's sake, we should hold the question. I think the community has been struggling. People for and against are feeling like they have a majority support, and I think it will be empowering to let the community come forward and officially record the support for or against ATE.
Thank you, Councillor Wheeler. I too knocked on over 1,100 doors or just for information, there are about 1,700 in the community. I knocked on over 1,100 of them, and I didn't raise the issue of photo radar once. It was, however, the most frequently raised issue by the public. And it wasn't just this past election. In previous elections, we've heard it as well. So for me, that is my motivation for having supported it in the first place. I do, however, support the idea of having a ballot question at this time. There are efficiencies to be gained by having it in conjunction with a by-election, and so I think it's an appropriate time to do so. Any further questions, comments? Councillor Nadeau?
I would concur with a lot of the discussion being had. Being a councillor for the last 9.5 years, run through 3 elections personally, every election period where you have the opportunity to engage the community, I've always heard the #1 concern was speed and traffic. It is not an easy decision as a councillor to sit at this table and decide to put something that you know may be controversial and may be difficult. That being said, I completely support the decision that I made. I made it with the community support, community feedback, community engagement, community education. There is not one person that can say that they did not know that it was coming about. When you advertise it in the paper, you have it in every avenue, on website, social media, and it is there. I think statistics show that it is working. However, the community is saying that they're not feeling heard. And if the community feels that they're not being heard and represented, my role as a representative of this community is to allow that to happen. I had a conversation with a community member yesterday that feels that they don't weigh in on social media because they feel like they will be bullied to do so when they express their need in support. And if this allows people to feel that they will not be bullied and not be attacked for having an opinion one way or the other, and they can have an anonymous voice on a ballot, then I support that.
Thank you, Councillor Nadeau. Councillor Long?
Thank you. I support this motion. We brought photo radar a couple of years ago. The evidence that we are presented with this morning suggests that it's been fairly effective. I'm pleased to see that. But I think we have to balance that with the fact that some people just don't like it. And I don't feel that I'm here to thrust something upon our community if it's not what people want. So I'm more than happy to put that question out there, hear what people say. I believe, and someone will correct me, I'm sure if I'm wrong, that a plebiscite like this is not binding on us, but I would consider it to be binding. If the 50% plus 1 says get rid of it, then for me it's gone.
You are correct. And the question of whether or not it is binding is something that's outlined in the Municipal Government Act. So any further questions, comments on this? All right, all in favor? That is carried. So at this time, since we've approved having a ballot question, we need to approve the ballot question. And so I would call upon a member of council to introduce an appropriate motion. Councillor Bossert? Right? Who wants it? Councillor Bossert.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Seeing as I didn't put my hand up for any feedback, I will read the 2 questions that have been submitted to us by administration. The first question to be considered for a question on the ballot is, do you support the continuation of the photo radar red light stop sign enforcement program in the town of Drayton Valley? And the second question for consideration on the ballot is, do you support the continuation of the photo radar speed enforcement program in the town of Drayton Valley?
And so your motion is to have those questions represented as the ballot question in 2 parts on the ballot, correct? Okay. All right, and in that order? All right. So we're clear on the motion, Madam Secretary? Yeah. Okay. All right. Any discussion on this motion? Councillor Frederickson.
Just two comments. One is, I do like that they are broken out questions, mainly because of conversations I've had with people. Some are okay with the speed, but not necessarily okay with the red light, and I think this allows people to be able to delineate where their opinions stand. Another concern that had come forward with regards to the question was posing this as a yes or no question. Public sites don't have open-ended questions. That would be more of a survey. So what I would strongly ask the public to do in leading up to the February 27th election is to take advantage of the ability to contact your councillors, access the website that has all the statistical information, and be able to get as much education as you feel necessary in order to make an informed decision on this ballot question. Some of the things that have come forward have been addressed in the previous motion that we had with regards to who sets thresholds, who has who can make comments about where, or put in concerns about where photo radar could be situated or unsituated within the town. So some of these things are addressed, and I think some of them just come down to just even public education of what tools they can access in terms of contacting the provider of ATE and expressing those opinions. So I just really strongly ask people to be able to contact your council and really access the website as well leading up to this.
Very well said. All right. All in favor? That carries. 7.6, Councillor Nadeau, Park Valley Pool Policy Updates.
Sorry. Thank you, Mayor. As a normal course of practice, the manager of the Park Valley Pool, in consultation with the Director of Community Services, has reviewed existing policies and ensured that those policies meet industry standard requirements. The swimming instructor standard policy has been amended as a result of the Red Cross changing its training requirements. The assistant water safety instructor, the AWSI, is no longer a course required for the Red Cross swimming instructors. Accordingly, the policy now states the water safety instructor only. The new policy elaborates on the Red Cross water safety instructor course to provide more information to council. The former administration standard policy will now be referred to as Admission Standard and Swimming Competency Policy. Alberta Health legislates that the Admission Standard Policy must include measures to evaluate a patron's swimming competency. The Life Saving Society provides recommendations for child to adult ratios, which are now reflected in the attached policy and noted in the signage at the facility. So I have two options presented. I move that Council approve the Swimming Instructor Standards Policy, RC 0314, and Admission Standard and Swimming Competency Policy, RC 0115, as presented.
Thank you, Councillor Nadeau. Any discussion on this motion? All right, all in favor? That is carried. Item 7.7, Councillor Long.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you. This may take a while. I hope you're sitting comfortably. In passing Budget 2016, Council directed Town Administration to undertake a service and programme review with the objectives of reviewing public expenditures, finding efficiencies and ensuring the longer-term sustainability of town finances, including operations and infrastructure. In finalising Budget 2016 this past winter and spring, Council also met with numerous stakeholders, including representatives and delegations from local business community, who recommended the adoption of business and business-like practices for the town of Drayton Valley and its operations. This advice has also been considered when recommending a forward-looking approach on our water and sewer operations. Review efforts this year were to consider the town's future rate-setting approach in terms of industry standard methodologies, including a utility full cost approach and a cash needs approach, and the resultant structural changes recommended to ensure equity, financial sustainability and environmental stewardship. In doing this, the town retained Corvus business advisors to review our current structure and pricing approach and to provide advice on meeting these principles. The town's current water and sewer rate structure, including our current commodity and fixed charges, do not attribute initial and long-term replacement costs proportionate to the infrastructure in place or its usage. The result is that water and sewer operations are currently being subsidized by all municipal taxpayers through property taxes. Our current approach also has a structural inequity within our existing customer base, where small line customers, mainly residential, are subsidizing customers serviced by large lines. The resultant cross-subsidizations from the general tax base and within our customer base are further exaggerated when observing that a number of large service institutional customers pay no property tax in the town of Drayton Valley. Simply put, the vast majority of customers are paying in part to make up for the significant revenue shortfall arising from the rate treatment given to a small number of large service and institutional customers. In undertaking this analysis, two main aspects have influenced administration's consideration of a recommended future approach. One, our existing rate structure will not be sufficient to meet operational and infrastructure needs in the future. And two, the cross-subsidization existing in our current model is neither sustainable or appropriate to continue. The current rate-setting approach is resulting in an approximate deficit of $1.8 million per year, and the town is currently not accumulating reserves for future asset rehabilitation and reconstruction. With the town having $30.3 million of water and sewer infrastructure in place, and these assets being at 34% of their useful life on average, that's 66% remaining, changes will allow the town to meet current cash requirements as well as plan and fund asset replacement needs as they occur in the future. Understanding that changes will result in financial impacts on our customer base, and notably large service customers, an implementation period has been considered. Administration has reviewed and recommends a phasing in of the new rate approach to achieve necessary revenue requirements within 10 years of implementation. A rebate program on fixed charges, as contemplated in the Corvus report, has also been reviewed and is recommended for large service town customers over this period of implementation. Accordingly, administration recommends the approval of option 1, the adoption of a full cost utility approach to water and sewer rate setting and operations, with changes to commence in 2017. I'm just going to take a pause. Therefore, I move that Council approve a full cost utility rate setting approach for water and sewer operations phased in over a 10-year period, including capacity charge rebate program within the town's boundaries for large service customers greater than 20 millimetres and commencing at a 70% rebate level on the capacity charge in the first year.
Thank you, Councillor Long. We have a motion before us. Discussion on the motion. Councillor Frederickson.
I just have two questions. The first question is, I have extensive understanding of the water side of things. I was just wondering if admin would be able to just do a quick walkthrough on the sewer side. I read through the Corvus report and I just didn't necessarily understand the sewer part. The second question I had was looking at the Corvus report, page 11 of the report, or 97 of 133, and page 30, where they identify the capital, the future capital projects. I just, because there are some that are just listed as minor capital, I'm wondering if all of these, the necessity of all of these projects, considering that this change is hinging on the capital replacement, you know, it's the chicken and egg. So I just wanted admin to weigh in on just the necessity of all of those capital projects that were on the list.
Mr. Dibben?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for the questions, Councillor Frederickson. Maybe I'll just talk in reverse order. As a part of the engagement with Corvus Business Advisors, they came to the community, did a deep dive into our customer base as well as our more immediate and longer-term capital infrastructure plans. And so what you see in the report, and as you referenced on page 11, is capital improvements and upgrades that are currently in our short to longer-term planning horizon. That was a necessary function of them being able to take a look from both approaches that they considered as to what kind of rate-setting approach and methodology and ultimately the charges that would be necessary to fund over time these necessary improvements, upgrades, or rehabilitations. It is a point-of-time review, Certainly, as we move along in time, there are changes, there are issues, there are other aspects, growth, additions of new customers, unintended consequence, infrastructure failings, other events that may complicate aspects do change what our necessary improvements, rehabilitations, and upgrades are, as well as additions based on what growth might be, what service demands are, and other factors that are involved in a developing and growing municipality. So as it exists, these pieces that are there are on our plans. Timing can always be flexible, but in looking at this approach and the needs, capital needs and capital replacement needs over a longer horizon, in this case 10 years, that was the inputs that were needed to say, from today and moving on a new rate-setting approach and what those capital requirements are, how do we get from A to B so that we accumulate not only the necessary reserves that are in place for infrastructure replacement, but that we are actually funding our ongoing operational costs by revenues that are received from water and sewer customers. To your first question in terms of the water and sewer differential approaches, and I think it's a fair question perhaps for yourself and other councillors, but also for customers of our water utility as to why now. And why these issues and aspects. Councillor Long, in introducing the subject matter, spoke to a number of those aspects, and we are at a point with the useful life of our infrastructure that it is prudent, and I would argue from administration's perspective necessary, to make the changes now that over time and also with an approach that phases this in rather than hitting customers or a subset of customers with an immediate jump up of rates and costs to be able to not only meet our ongoing year-to-year operational requirements and the year-to-year infrastructure needs, but also prepare for what we know will need to be more significant replacements over time. So that really speaks to why now in this fashion and the recommendations from an administration perspective as to why we're proposing this. I would, later in the agenda package for Council's consideration for acceptance and public release is the actual report, the final report of Corvus Business Advisors. And one of the elements I would like to just draw attention to is contained on page 23, I believe it is, that speaks to page 22 and 23, that actually outlines under their business methodology what the 10-year implementation plan would mean in terms of particularly the capacity charge. It's important to know that the most significant change as it will relate to customers is with this new approach. Currently, customers in the town of Drayton Valley see two fixed charges per month, a fixed charge for water and a fixed charge for sewer. Part of the methodology is that these two costs will be replaced by one capacity charge that will also in it include the costs of billing, the operational costs, in addition to the actual physical operational costs of providing these services to the town. And it is outlined in terms of different line sizes. And so on page 22, it speaks to both the imperial and metric conversions. And earlier in the report, and even just above, it shows the number of customers, water and sewer customers that we have in the town of Drayton Valley, a little over 3,000. And so just drawing to council's attention, the delineation between small and large customers, as per Corvus's advice, is greater than 20 millimeters. So using this chart, 15 and 19 millimeter customers are deemed to be small service customers. Those serviced by lines greater than 20 millimeters are deemed to be large service customers. And with the motion in place, the rebate program that is being recommended, in addition to the implementation timeframe of 10 years, will provide some additional measure of transition for those larger water customers that will see at the end of the period of implementation the most noticeable increase in their fixed charges or capacity charges going forward. I think it's also important to note, Council, that with this new approach, and if you take a look at, and this now I'm referring to page 22, and the 10-year implementation horizon, these are the capacity charges. After 10 years, the capacity charge for our 5/8 customers, 50 millimeter customers, they rise from $15.25 to $16.05. I would note for these same customers, this is the only charge they will be paying. So currently, these customers are paying $30.50 per month as a total fixed charge. At the end of this period, they will be paying $16.05, which is a little over half of what they currently pay. For our next size of customers, 3/4 inch, 19 millimeters, the proposal for year one, the reason for the dates is Corvus completed this work last year, so it's phrased as 2016 to 2025. 2447 is the fixed charge, the capacity charge. Again, that is down from what these customers would be paying currently, $30.50 with both charges. And at the end of this period, $25.75. Still, it would be a net decrease after 10 years and after the implementation on today's comparison of what their charges and costs are. That experience of greater than 20 millimeters is different. Hence, the standby costs of providing the infrastructure, maintaining that infrastructure, and replacing the infrastructure for those customers is greater. Previously, the town had not made any differentiation or attributed any of those costs, what is referred to in the report as the standby costs of service, to the customers that are benefiting from that. And as Councillor Long indicated earlier, those costs and charges have been subsidized through property tax. And in the case of the experience of the town of Drayton Valley, 94% of our customers were subsidizing the costs of 6% of our customers. As heeding the advice that not only council but administration has heard from the community and from the business community of looking at this in a business-like fashion, we've endeavored in our program review that council directed in budget last year to take this advice and to pay attention to it and look at this along these lines as to what is an appropriate treatment and where are costs appropriately apportioned. The advice we've been given and the review that we have done certainly acknowledges that the customers, as their service size and size of line goes up, will see a much more dramatic change in their fixed costs. Hence, again, the implementation timeframe over 10 years, but also the consideration that council asked for a rebate program and what would be appropriate, and hence the motion before us to take a look at what these charges would be, but then provide a rebate. 70% is the level that's been put forward in the motion, but looking at that as a declining approach over the 10-year period of time frame to a point then when we have given notice an accurate time for customers that are more disproportionately affected based on their bills today to be able to adjust and plan for that over time. So I hope that explains a little bit between the differential about the water and sewer. There will be commodity charges, water and sewer rates will continue, but there will not be a sewer fixed charge going forward. It will, both charges are replaced by one capacity charge.
Thank you, Mr. Diven. It's a very comprehensive overview. Any further discussion on the motion? Councillor Wheeler?
Thank you. I think looking at this, it's definitely seeable that we don't want the majority of our taxpayers subsidizing water usage, that it needs to be on the businesses and the people that are using it. But this is a huge increase for some of these large customer users. And I think for the first year, for giving them that notice to plan, if you have a year you can plan, you can budget ahead, that's okay. But a couple of months' notice is very short notice for some people and some companies. So I would be more in favor of seeing a 80% now, but then the second year drop to a 60 and phase out over that. I understand supporting our business community, and I think that that's really important, and I think the notice for me is the most important thing to give them, but to also know that it will be a burden on our municipality. If we're looking at 80% and trying to find close to $80,000 in the budget is a big number for us. So,
Is that are you proposing an amendment to the motion?
I'm just having discussion.
Yeah.
I'm sure everyone else wants to weigh in and discuss.
Okay. Anything further, Councillor Nadeau?
Mr. McMillan, if we were to move forward with this suggestion from Councillor Wheeler, what would be the monthly cost of making that decision for our municipality?
Yeah, monthly cost for every month delay in implementation is about $25,000. Beyond that, there's other factors based on the level of the subsidy given. That would have to be calculated, though, given the infinite number of permutations and combinations that would arise.
Mr. Diven?
Just to that question, in the Corvus report, the suggestion, I wouldn't say it's necessarily a technical model that was outlined, contemplated a rebate or subsidy program, as they termed it, at a 50% level, declining over that period of time. Any increase in the rebate level would have a corresponding higher level of impact along those lines. So I think the SFO's comment on the $25,000 monthly cost is based at a 50% rebate level. If it was 70 or 80, that would be slightly higher. Along those lines. So the implementation delay is likely a little bit more than 25,000, but he is right. It all depends on line size, the rebate level. It's been suggested at 20, and where that level would be, what the rebate level is, and then ultimately the determination about what the implementation date in 2017 is as well. And that then will be a function of, depending on council's a decision on this agenda, about a subsequent discussion of appropriate rollout, communications to customers, a public information session that Corvus Business Advisors has offered and volunteered to do. And those, that would, we'd be looking, I would think, best case scenario at a couple of months from now, if not a little bit more, just with even that advisement to Councillor Wheeler's point about notice and appropriate notice. So we would need to, come back to council with a definitive number about what that might change from what our budget 2017 estimations were.
Councillor Frederickson?
I think Mr. Diven just mentioned it. What we're discussing right now is the line capacity as well as the percentage of rebate. In this particular motion, we're not determining which date we're starting this program. We're just we're setting the percentage. So I just wanted to bring that.
Okay. Anything further? There's little question in my mind that the Corvus report is it is based on best practice, and the term of art that they use is modern utility rate setting. And so the effort here is to provide the municipality with a path to move away from some of the dramatic fluctuations on the taxation side, where there have been in various years calls upon the taxation revenue to provide support for the water and sewer infrastructure. In moving to a full cost recovery approach, the utility becomes self-sustaining over time. So that's a laudable goal. I want to thank council and administration both for an extraordinary amount of work in parsing the Corvus report over the past few months. We've all come at this from many different perspectives, and repeatedly so. From my own perspective, notice is a very important element of the discussion. The appropriate rebate level is an important element of the discussion. There's no doubt that this will have significant effects on some utility users. 94% of users will notice little to no effect. And the effort to eliminate the cross-subsidization from small, largely residential users to towards the commercial and institutional users is, again, a laudable goal, I think. So with that, no further questions, comments? We have a motion before us from Councillor Long. All in favor? All opposed? That carries. And I find myself just providing a note of explanation as to my own inclinations on this matter. And I've tried to give what I think is a balanced view of the proposal. I support the methodology. I support the proposal. It's the, as council and administration know, it's the notice period is something that is dramatic for me. It's something that in my other life, notice means a great deal. And as it does here to some users, but for the benefit of the community, the methodological approach here is certainly the right one. I will now, of course, in my role as mayor, defend council's decision strenuously. Mr. Dibben, you had a comment?
Just if you would permit just a slight editorial comment from administration, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to extend a thank you first to council. This has been a very complex and dynamic file over the last number of months, and certainly with council's charge to us last year from a program review and operations aspect. I'm not sure that at that point in time it was appreciated anywhere exactly where this would take us. But I also would, if you permit me, also for the record, just note my thanks to our SFO, Kevin McMillan, and to our Director of Corporate Services, Pam Livingston, for all of their work, along with the support of communications and Mr. Russell and Ms. Stone, of working through all of these different aspects, the countless going back and forth between the different iterations and aspects along those lines. And I particularly have to thank Kevin personally for walking me through and taking me through this. I am not an accountant. I am not a rate setter by profession, and he has shown infinite patience with me in terms of getting me to a point where I think I understand what I should probably have to start with on this particular file. So thank you for indulging me, but I just wanted in a very public fashion to extend my thanks first to council, but also to members of staff who have been so very helpful to me.
Yes. And on behalf of council, I want to echo those comments towards administration. So thank you. With that, we'll adjourn for 10 minutes and reconvene. Thanks. We're moving on to item 8.0. The new chain of office, I've just kind of lost all track of time. 8.1, engineering and development, Mr. Fraser.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think my report overall is going to be fairly brief today. Obviously, we don't have a lot of capital projects going on in the middle of the winter, but cover a few things here. The planning and development report, I'm going to report on the development permit aspect at the next council meeting. But I do, with respect to the business licenses, we had 9 that were approved since the last council meeting, 2 which were non-local and 7 were local. And we're also obviously involved in many other different activities in the planning and development department. The least of, not the least of which is the land use bylaw review, which we've already commenced early stages of that. And we do recognize there's a type timeline for that, so we're hoping to have a draft revision available by this summer. With respect to sustainability, our coordinator, Danette Moulet, she finished on January 27th. She is moving on to a position with the provincial government starting in March as a policy analyst with Alberta Transportation in the climate change section. So we all wish her well in her new endeavors. We have been busy, as everyone would know, with respect to snow removal. On January 23rd, we commenced picking up the residential streets, getting rid of all the ice, and we completed that yesterday. And the main reason for that, of course, is we had quite a big buildup of layers of ice, and there was a lot of potholing, and it was getting difficult for especially some of the smaller vehicles to negotiate it. So we deployed all our resources and cleaned that up. They also helped ensure the ice rink was in good condition, especially for the old-timers hockey game on Saturday, which we received positive feedback from them about that. So, with respect to utilities, we had a annual inspection of the water treatment plant. I think it was last week or the week before. Anyway. It passed with flying colors, and Bill was telling me that the inspector was very complimentary about how clean and well organized the facility was. So, CanPac is in the process of rolling out their new waste totes at residences. I know it's not complete yet, and it's taking longer than we'd hoped, but I understand it's underway presently. As for the CETC, I understand repairs are still underway there. Barry informs me, and they're going to keep at it until it's fixed. So I know they've had some issues with the piping there that caused that water damage. And with respect to, I guess, my section and Sonia, we're working very heavily on the detailed work plan this year, especially considering changes to our personnel and available resources and so forth. And so we're trying to prioritize our work and make sure the top priority ones get completed, and whether there's any room to adjust some of the other ones. So we're working heavily on that. And that would conclude my report.
All right, thank you very much. Any questions, Councillor Bossert?
Thank you, Mr. Fraser, for your report. I just have a question. In the neighborhood where up near the hospital, where all of the melt-off water from our sump pumps, from any snow melting, runs directly onto the residential road, is there an ability for residents to call in and ask for salt or sand on their street? We've seen the cycle of melt and freeze in the past month, and in an area where seniors are living, there's a lot of ice, not on just the road, but on the sidewalk. So are we able to phone in and ask for a specific area to be salted or sanded?
Yeah, I think it would be fair to contact the Public Works manager, Bill Adams, and if there's specific issues, especially if it's slippery or dangerous, I'm sure they can prioritize some equipment to go out and apply extra material. So,
all right, anything further, Councillor Frederickson?
I just have a question. Forgive my ignorance on this. With the mobile home parks, Pleasant View is one that I have specifically in mind just because I was there. Are those roads the responsibility of the mobile home park landowners? Are they not town roads? I'm just wondering because they haven't had ice removal, and I had got asked that question and I didn't have an answer.
Mr. Fraser?
Sure. I'm not sure I have the complete answer either. I think for sure some of them are definitely the responsibility of the mobile home owners, like the park managers and so forth. Yeah. I'm not sure if there's any unusual arrangements at the other ones, but I can check into it.
Mr. Dibben?
Just further to the question, yes, those roads are the responsibility of the owners. The town has entered into arrangements in the past, and further to Mr. Fraser's review, we can get for council exactly the disposition along those lines, but we will by contract undertake those duties for the mobile park home owner under terms and conditions that are either spelled out by that arrangement or within the regular priorities and clearing activities of the town.
Essentially, the owner of the mobile home park has to initiate that request, yeah. All right, anything further? Okay. Community Services and FCSS. Ms. Jason.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. I'm putting on a few things here, but just want to let the community know that although our programming staff, both Teresa Dunlop and Jean Ann Teleski, are Teresa has finished her position as of last week, and Jean Ann is finishing up this week. I know some people are thinking it's a plot against me, but I think it's just coincidental. Anyway, I just want to assure the community that we are indeed continuing on with the programs and all the different activities that have been planned for this winter session. And of course, the setup that we have in the new community center along 50th Street is certainly advantageous for people to get to in terms of its location and of course the size of that area for some of the indoor playground activities and all of the other events that are going on. So yes, programs are continuing. With that, hearing a good response from the community with respect to a lot of those activities and programs, not only for the ones within the community center, but even within the Total Works Fitness Center, getting a great response, addressing some of the specific target groups that we had set out in our business plan, such as the youth. So with the teenage girls and boys coming into the fitness center, it's great to see the level of involvement from that population. Family Day, of course, is coming up here, and going from 1 o'clock until 4 o'clock at the Aspen Waste Management Facility. So that's taking place February 20th. And again, regular activities, the tobogganing, the horse and wagon rides, the barbecue, hot chocolate, cookie decorating, snowman building, face painting, snow painting, and sled dogs are back. Of course, along with that, our Park Valley Pool and the Almaplex also put on a couple of extra public open sessions for the swimming in the pool and skating, of course, in the Almaplex. Also on that day, DV Thunder is having a game from 6 to 9, so I can't recall who they're playing, but it's always good to get up and support our local teams. Also, just within this past few weeks, had a couple of days where Dr. Unger has been within our community setting the stage for his research project, looking at the resiliency of youth within our resource-based community. We are just one of a few around the world to be involved with this project, so some interesting sessions, topics, and wonderful engagement by different sectors of the community in the discussions that Dr. Unger has had. So really looking forward to seeing that project starting here later on this spring and summer. And then, of course, the triathlon, May 13th, in terms of just information for the community, not only in terms of making sure that you get your registration and make sure that your children participate in the Kids of Steel program, but also if you want to volunteer for the triathlon, by all means give us a call at the office. Now, for Councillor Long's sake, I hope that was riveting.
Blew his hair back.
Thank you.
Any questions? All right, thanks very much. Economic Development, Eric Burton.
Morning, everybody. So I have a pretty brief report here today. I'm going to touch on two things. One is the CARES application update, as well as the retail roundtable. So first off, we were hoping for to hear back from the province as far as the community and regional economic supports. They had suggested that they would be able to make that decision within 60 days of the application. I did follow up with them today, which is the 61st day, and they said that they have sent their recommendation. The minister is working on the final recommendations for funding, and that they'll be getting in touch with all applicants in the very near future. So, so we're going to be watching to see whether we get the support to move forward with our exciting project around hemp manufacturing cluster development. Also, coming down the pike, we have a retail roundtable, and that's set for Thursday, February 16th at the Mackenzie Center. And it's going to be an opportunity for entrepreneurs, existing businesses, business service providers, community leaders, economic developers, to potential investors to come together and talk about some of the challenges and, more importantly, the opportunities in the retail sector. And so we've already gotten a good response. The communications team has done a great job of getting the word out there through the online presence as well as in the paper. We've had 18 RSVPs so far, so I feel that that's encouraging. A lot of the people that are coming forward are coming out of the woodwork, so to speak. They're not people that I've been in touch with before, which I think is also really promising, because that's really what the roundtable is meant to do, is to create a beacon for entrepreneurs to come out and engage with us as a starting point. And then once they are at the table and discussing what the challenges and opportunities are, we can work with them to help them pathfind and help them move forward with their business and successfully. So that's set for February 16th. We do have support from Community Futures. They have said that they would like to sponsor the event. And so we're looking at some options as far as how we can bring in a touch more firepower. The interesting thing about retail is that while in some sectors the province has all sorts of resources, so bioindustrial, I mean, we've got dozens and dozens of experts that we can draw in from the province. In retail, there's not one. And it's just not a sector that the province has identified as needing on-the-ground expertise to support. So that's given us a bit to think about as far as how we can bring some additional expertise to bear on that discussion. But we'll be working with the people who have RSVP to develop an agenda that is really customized to where they're at in their business journey.
Any questions? All right. Thank you very much. Moving on to Emergency Services, Chief Thompson.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor, Council. I'm here to do some review of some stats. I'll start on page 71 of your package with the December stats, and then we'll work through the year-end stats, and I'll bring up a few other things. So in the month of December, we had a relatively quiet month. We only responded to 15 calls during that time period. We responded to one structure fire, which involved a fully involved Quonset, in which the homeowner lost several items in that fire. We responded to 5 motor vehicle collisions, 1 single vehicle rollover, 2 involving 2 motor vehicles, 1 involving 3 motor vehicles, and then 1 involving a snowmobile, which for a total of 5. In terms of alarm calls, we responded to 4 in the month. 1 was a false alarm in an apartment building, which an unknown person activated a pull station. We also had a business alarm due to cooking and 2 residential alarms. We also responded to 3 assist calls to other agencies, 2 of them involving EMS, 1 of them involving a Stars Landing. One of those EMS calls involved a cardiac arrest patient. We also responded to 2 miscellaneous calls, both of them involving ruptured pipes. One of them, obviously, as Mr. Fraser indicated, was at the CETC Center, and the other one was at a local residence that their water line broke inside the residence. So that brought us to a total of 15 calls for the month of December. I also have for Council on page 73 the year-end stats for 2016. We responded to 298 calls during 2016, which was down a little. In 2015, we responded to 322. So we saw quite a drop from the year previous. In terms of fire calls, we responded to 22. 9 of them were residential structure fires, 7 motor vehicle fires, 5 other structure type fires like sheds or garages or things like that. And then we also had 1 small fire at a seniors complex. So that brought us to a total of 22. That was down from the previous year. The previous year we had 42 fire calls. In the year of 2016, we responded to 33 grass fires, which again was down from the year previous where we responded to 40. In terms of motor vehicle collisions, we responded to 53. 21 of those were single vehicle rollovers, 17 involved two vehicle collisions, 3 involved a vehicle versus pedestrian. We had 2 ATV incidents that we had to deal with. We had 4 vehicle collisions involving animals on the road. 2 vehicles involving buildings where vehicles crashed into buildings. We also had one 3-vehicle motor vehicle collision, and we had 3 fatalities through the course of 2016. That was down a little bit from 2015, where we had 55 motor vehicle collisions. In regards to rescue calls, we responded to 6 classes rescue calls. One of them involved a vehicle stuck in a mud bog. We had a dog trapped underneath a shed. We had 2 ATV incidents on quad trails where we had to go in and use our equipment to rescue the individuals. We had a vehicle in the river, and we also had an individual that was pinned under a loader for a total of 6. There was also 6 in 2015 as well. In terms of alarm calls, good news is we are down from 2015. We had 107 alarm calls. In 2016, we were at 114 in 2015. 48 of those involved residential alarms, 32 were business, 15 involved schools. 4 of them were at the Omniplex. We had 7 alarms at seniors complexes, and we had 1 at the museum for a total of 107. Just to inform council, those are not necessarily all false alarms. Those are just alarms from alarm companies. So there could, in several of those, there was legitimate reason to respond because of smoke or whatever. In regards to assist other agencies, we responded to 40 this year. 14 involved cardiac arrests with EMS. 23 were related to other medical emergencies assisting EMS. We also assisted RCMP in 3 incidents as well. This is up from previous year. Previous year we had 30 that we responded to. And to round out the total for miscellaneous calls, we had 37, which is up slightly from 2015. 2015 we had 35. And they involved a whole wide range, power lines being down, carbon monoxide leaks, water breaks, fuel spills, odor complaints. We also had a couple of ammonia issues, one at the pool and one at the Omniplex. And that brought us to a total of 298 for the year. Any questions from council?
Any questions at all?
Just on one other note, I attended last week the Traffic Safety Committee meeting. We spent the majority of our time going through the traffic calming study report, and we made several recommendations. They will be coming forward to council.
Very good.
And that's
Thank
the end
you.
of my report.
Thank you. And please extend our thanks to the Traffic Safety Committee for their work. So, where are we? 8.5, Administration, Communications and Marketing, Tyler Russell.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor and Council. The chain of office
Looks good, doesn't it?
It looks really great. It is spectacular. Let's go with that. It's spectacular. Here's my report for this
It's
council.
just a loaner.
It's just a loaner.
Yeah, sorry.
Really? We have a by-election section of our website, which does include information for the electors to be able to, the contact information for the different candidates. Also, we do have the ID requirements for electors in our community so that it can be presented so that they can be able to know what it is. Also, we have created a dedicated page for the Mighty Learners program that is with the Early Childhood Development Center. It's all laid out there on our website. Also, our new ATE stats are available on our website as well if people would like see that, or if you want to, any of the councillors want to direct people towards them. And then also we have been consolidating some of our pages as we have some redundancies on some of our website pages, and we've begun consolidating those pages so that people don't have to go to 15 different places to find the one piece of information they're looking for. Also, we're going through, seems like each week I find broken links and so on and so forth, so we're fixing those as they come up as frequently as we possibly can. Social media, I just want to say a big thank you to the engineering department and Public Works for keeping us up to date on the snow removal and where they are and what was going on. It was a huge help, huge help. So thank you to the engineering department and Public Works for that. Also, as you saw today, and for those of you that were on Instagram on break, we have actually started posting pictures for our 60th anniversary. All of our hashtags, and we did do some research to make sure that the hashtags that we are using are not used by something else or inappropriate, to be able to make sure that we can enjoy the celebration for the next year. That's my report.
All right, thank you. Any questions? Councillor Frederickson.
Mr. Russell, you might not have the stats on this, but I'm wondering if we would be able to get some information on what are the most trafficked pages for our website, if you happen to have some of that info, just to kind of give insight of what the community looks at most often.
With me right now, but I can definitely
Yeah.
have some, absolutely.
Perfect.
Most definitely. And the last time that I looked, it was our event section.
It was what?
Event section.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
Councillor Bossert.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good morning.
Good morning.
Mr. Russell, could you, for council, make a list of all the different areas where the communications department posts information concerning the town? I have had feedback from people saying that they cannot find information about the by-election, about ATE, et cetera. I know as a counselor that information is there. Could you, just for information's sake, provide a quick list of where we put our information?
Were you looking for me to say that right now? All of our website information is categorized into 4 different categories. There is the My Town category, which includes staff directory, it includes the by-election. Under the services, we have community services and anything else that falls under that category. We also have our planning and development department. We actually have a specific section that is actually laid out for that, whether it's BioMile or planning and development, anything that's involved in that. And then we also have a third section that has our events, the mayor's recognition awards, or any of the or Tour of Alberta, like we had last year. That's under the fourth section of our website. We have social media. Absolutely, we have social media, radio. We also use the newspaper. We use Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter to be able to have. We do use inserts in our mailers as well, where information is available. We use that, and it does go on cycles where the public is able to utilize that. Also, we do use direct mail, which is a little bit different than our mail inserts. We can create it and get it to the residents a little bit faster. It's usually about 48 hours to be able to have that information laid out for you. At least 7, and we're always looking for new and more effective ways of being able to communicate to the public.
It seems like information is there if you want it.
Yes.
So that's what I'm hearing. All right. Anything further? Okay. Thanks very much. And the CAO report, Mr. Dibben.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good morning, Council. A few things to report on. Further to Mr. Russell's report and in speaking with on matters related to municipal by-election. This past Monday was the close of nominations. And at close at noon Monday, 6 candidates had filed their nomination papers. The nominations became official Tuesday at noon, following the voluntary withdrawal period. And so there are 6 candidates. I will read them alphabetically by last name. Candidates for the open council seat are Sandra Bannard, Michael Dirksen, Nicole Duthie, Tyler Kirsch, Colleen Secura, and Amanda Tebow. And of course, by-election day is Monday, February the 27th, 2017. That will be the only polling day. There is no advance poll for the by-election. Polls are open 8:30 a.m. to 8 p.m. at the Legion. The town has experienced in the past month a couple of computer virus attacks. The first was the first weekend of January. The second occurred this past weekend. It is a ransomware virus attack. We are not certain at this point in time whether the two incidences are related, but Information Services is in close contact with our service provider, TELUS, and we are undertaking all investigative action as well as looking at what corrective action may need to be undertaken, not just to preclude or forestall these activities going forward, but also in terms of the necessary updates as part of our information technology modernization plan. This has put a finer focus. The most recent attack this past weekend resulted in a corresponding attack to our backup systems. And unfortunately with that, there is some data that has been created and stored over the past month that we are uncertain at this point in time as to whether or not we can recover. That was part of the reason of the delay in the agenda package this week, in terms of we had it virtually together on Friday, and on Monday there was some significant gaps due to that information being on our shared network drives. The most unfortunate aspect along these lines, and I have great empathy toward the finance department, is that unfortunately a lot of the work that had been commenced since the 1st of January on end of year has been affected, and we are uncertain as to whether or not it can be recovered. So the staff that had been putting in significant time already in terms of our year end and audit aspects and requirements, in some ways is going to have to be redoing that work. So what is a hectic time just becomes more hectic and more compressed given our timelines for undertaking and completing that. And I'll certainly update council as we go along in terms of what actions and remedies are needed to be looked at as a result of this. Along with Chief Thompson, I attended the Traffic Advisory Committee on Tuesday the 24th. Just by way of clarification, as council knows, there's been a number of studies the past year on traffic and traffic-related matters. At that meeting, the McElhaney report was the aspect. There's also the Bunt traffic calming study, which is going to be going to the committee at its next meeting, which is the third week of February. And following that, if the committee is able to get through the review of both pieces, along those lines, I expect then that council will be seeing those recommendations and the committee perhaps itself at an upcoming GMP meeting in the near future. With council's decision earlier today on water sewer rate structure, administration will now be turning toward the communications rollout approach in terms of the requisite notification to customers by various media, some of which was described earlier, but also look then at bringing back Corvus Business Advisors for a public information session for any and all interested customers for a more detailed and thorough discussion about what the approach is going forward. The town has been approached by FCM in terms of whether or not there is an interest to participate in their next round of international programs, and certainly the town has been an active participant in these programs in the past. We have put in place an expression of interest that we have left general for this program and participating going forward. There are three facets of the program that I think from a town perspective that we are well positioned and well knowledgeable to undertake any and all, quite frankly. But the focus areas are enabling environment, trade, regional economic development, and inclusive leadership that includes the engagement of women and youth. These programs are occurring in Africa, South America, and Asia. And so we have just put a general expression of interest for all 3 themes and all 3 regions, and are awaiting the first round of FCM review and contact back from them as to what participation might be going forward later this year. And I guess the last aspect, it was my privilege to participate in a couple of events on Family Literacy Day last Friday, the 27th. The first was at Aurora School in my daughter's classroom, and the second was at the Clean Energy Technology Center. And it was a great honor for me to be the keynote guest reader. I was unable to attend last year because of an absence, and I wanted to note that in keeping with the pajama party theme, I did indeed wear my onesie, and I am thankful that no pictures seem to have emerged or survived from the event. But it was a great event, very well attended, a great participation from family members and from kids, and it was just a real treat to be involved in that at the Clean Energy Technology Center. So with that, I will conclude my report.
Thank you. So now I have a mental image. At least tell me it's a Montreal Canadiens themed onesie. Gonna have to do something about that. Councillor Frederickson.
I just have 2 questions regarding the by-elections. So, first one is just wondering, for those that are mobilely impaired or what would it be? Mobile impaired?
Mobility.
Mobility, yeah.
Can't get around.
We're firing on all cylinders today. Anyways, mobility impaired, would they be able to do a pre-call-in so that they're able, or how would that work? And then the second question, how do we confirm the 6-month Leave It Up primary resident for the candidacy? I'm only asking because that question has come to me from a couple of community members questioning primary resident of one of the candidates.
Thanks for the question. In terms of Election Day, the town has a bylaw in place that allows for and requires institutional voting at a number of locations, and that will be occurring on Election Day. In the past, and there has been past consideration in terms of what a special ballot process could be, particularly for voters who are not able to leave their house. Special ballot has not been contemplated in this election. So there is the polling station, and there is the institutional ballots. I think Chandra, Deputy Returning Officer, coming to the podium as well. She can probably give some more information. Well, I'll let Chandra talk, and then I find that that's
Seems
usually an
eager to do
indication
so.
I know more. So,
Chandra.
Sorry, I'm here to contradict. We do have the bylaw which allows the institutional voting and the incapacitated electors at home. So people can call and prearrange, and we will have those mobile voting polls attend at their residence if they're unable to leave. But we do have the institutional voting at the 5 different locations throughout town set for specific times. We really have no way of verifying that. Any electors are required to sign a statement swearing that they are residents of the town of Drayton Valley. We do confirm that with some ID, but in terms of being in Alberta for the past 6 months, we're relying on them to
If I'm not mistaken, that's in the form of a statutory declaration, is it not?
It is.
Yeah, so they would be risking perjury if it was discovered after the fact. It's kind of a group effort towards that answer, so hope you don't mind. Anything further for Mr. Diven? Did you have a? No? Okay. All right, let's move on to council reports. 9.1, Councillor Bossert.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Fairly busy last few weeks, which is nice after the Christmas break to get back into the swing of things. On January 12th, I attended an update with the group working with Dr. Unger concerning the resiliency in youth in the resource-based industry research project that we are engaged in. It's going to be an amazing research project. I'm honored that our community has been chosen to take part in it, and look forward to following it as it moves along for 5 years, I understand. January 14th was a workshop. A workshop was hosted at the United Church on racism, so I just want to tip my hat to the group that was involved in bringing that workshop to town to raise awareness of racism in our community and indeed around the world. On January 19th, I attended a joint Waste Management and Sustainability Committee meeting. January 23rd, I attended the Physician Recruitment and Retention Committee meeting, as I've been put back onto that committee now. We were the group was invited to submit requests to the Rural Physician Action Plan group about some of the gaps that we see in our community concerning health, and we identified a number of gaps, mainly mental health, specifically psychiatric treatment through telehealth support, obstetrics and delivery care for mothers and infants, anesthetists, emergency services training and support, and operational funding for our CT scanner. So we had the opportunity to send a letter in yesterday, I believe it was, to our overhead body, the Rural Physicians Action Plan, sharing our concerns for our community in our gaps for healthcare. Also, the Physician Retention and Recruitment Committee is hosting its Physician Appreciation Dinner on February 22nd at the 55 Plus Club. So we've invited a number of members from our healthcare community to come to the dinner and for us to show our appreciation for all that they do in our community. On January 24th, I attended the Waste Management Committee meeting. January 25th, I attended, after Council and GMP, attended the 3920 Alliance Committee, AGM, held in Warburg. There was good attendance at the AGM, although I am still not totally clear in what their mandate is. As I read through some of the information, I'll bring recommendations to the committee. But at that meeting, our MLA, Mark Smith, was quite the advocate and cheerleader for our community concerning our bioindustry, our CET Center, CETC, and for the great work we're doing here in alternative resources. So I appreciated his putting the spotlight on Drayton Valley at that meeting. On January 27th, as a member of the community, I attended the Family Literacy Day for the brief parts of the activity. I missed Mr. Dibben in his onesie, too bad. But my hat goes off to all those that are involved with family literacy, whether it's mums and tots or intergenerational work, children, grandmothers, reading, and within the school system. I think literacy is a very important part of success as in our culture. And so my hat's off to all that were involved in that. And I also attended the Sustainability Committee. Don't have the date for that, but same date on the 27th. So it's been a busy time, a lot of things happening in the community. I look forward to seeing the community out on Family Day, February 20th, and incorporate some of our 60th anniversary celebrations that day as well. And that's my report.
Thank you, Councillor Bossert. Councillor Frederickson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't have any dates since I don't have my phone, but I attended the Pembina Area Synergy Group for the mayor sometime last week. And the information was, to steal one of your lines, cautiously optimistic. In Western Canada, they're looking at an increase wells being drilled between 4,200 to 4,900, which is positive news. Trican in our area has 12 units out, and they are looking at a bit of a rebound. They are finding they're having difficulty getting staff rehired, as people are worried about the cyclical nature of the industry. Another piece of good news is that the Cardium formation in which the Pembina oil field, thank you, sits is still considered very viable by the Canadian area of petroleum producers, and it's still a good place to do business, so that is positive for us. There's a lot riding on what's happening with U.S. policy, as well as being able to get east and west pipelines so that we're able to get other customers and battle the accumulation of product just sitting. And one interesting fact that they had said is, and this is just kind of pinpoints the importance of us being able to get those pipelines to Tidewater. Ontario, for example, imports 2/3 of their oil from the United States because we don't have anything going out that direction. So this council, we had put a motion forward to send a letter of support regarding the Energy East pipeline. That particular group was happy to hear that. I'd asked them about whether CAP would be doing more work with AUMA and getting that advocacy work going forward on some of this industry. And they had said that basically as the MGA review kind of comes to a close, they're going to be looking at working more so with AUMA on trying to get those transport pipelines moving forward. And then also I attended the Brazeau Seniors meeting, and just a few talking points here. So the budget, we had gone through the budget, and there is an increase in the requisition this year. Last year, I think you recall that the initial requisition was reduced as a sensitivity to the economy. This year, we would be seeing our taxpayers will be seeing an increase on their bill, bearing in mind that this is Brazeau Seniors requisition. This doesn't have anything to do with the town taxes. But essentially, revenues have been down this last year. There is considerable vacancies and expenses have increased. So just a few reasons behind the requisition. Last year, there were deferred costs as it relates to the economy slowdown. So this year, some of those costs have come back in from the proposed budget. Labor costs will continue to be cut as warranted depending on resident numbers. So they are very still sensitive to the amount of residents we have and the requirement of people necessary. They are not overstaffed by any means. So this year also there's continued vacancies and there is a slight rent increase. This increase would help, but not really if vacancies continue. So there's that revenue and money in, money out. They've added extra funding to account for the carbon tax, as well as the trickle-down rate increases. So things like the food increases from the food supply trucks, cleaning supplies, linens, fuels, utilities, that all kind of relate in a tertiary way to that carbon tax. They have collective bargaining this year that they will be going into, and so that has weighted into this budget as well. Cost for the extension of the parking lot has gone up. They are still looking at these plans, and there are funds in the reserve for this year. So basically looking forward to capital funding of an extended parking lot. And basically if there's areas to cut costs, but not at the expense or comfort of seniors, that's definitely an area that Brazeau Seniors is looking at. And then also I sat with the Waste Management and Sustainability group, got together to really dive into the sustainability plan and develop a strategic focus for the Waste Management Committee. And there were several themes that really came out of that. One of them was essentially we're looking at waste reduction across the board. So whether that's beefing up our recycling program, looking
looking to future with regards to compost, what we want to do is just extend that longevity of our landfill. And so that was one of the main themes that had come up. And it is something that is also coming from the community as well, who are interested in the compost idea. But of course, with that, there's a lot of extra costs associated that we still need to really flush out before any sort of movement goes on that.
All right, thank you very much. Councillor Nadeau.
Thank you, Mayor. With your permission, if I could go on a bit of a personal note rather than do a committee report.
Absolutely.
I will say 2 official things. Just a reminder about the campaign school this coming week on Thursday. There will be one at noon, and as well 7 p.m. I believe is the session. Same information held at both, but opportunity for just different perspective. So I encourage all candidates to participate in that, as there's some excellent relevant information to really being a counselor and what that role entails, and so I encourage everyone to attend that. There is a forum coming up as well. The Chamber has confirmed they will be putting on a forum. It will be held in the second week of February at the Max on the 16th. Okay. So just to contact the Chamber for further information, but I encourage everybody to go out and hear all the candidates. And that being said, I remembered when I started 9.5 years ago, there was a sea of men. Diana McLean was Diana McQueen.
Not the first to
Sorry. Sorry. She was the only woman representative of that council. And I remember being a 30-year-old, newly married, new mother, and thinking that that didn't represent me. And it got me thinking about how I could maybe be that change in my community. And that the following year, having been a proud mom to my daughter and her wanting to have the best community to raise her in, that I put my name forward. I'm sorry. You can do this. I remember walking in those doors with my papers, and Sheldon Fusion was here, and I was shaking like a leaf because that was the hardest thing. That was the hardest walk. And Sheldon said, "Well, you've got an uphill battle, young lady." And I thought, to me, those are them fighting words, and that was a red flag. And I loved Sheldon for saying that because it called me to action. I am proud that I was elected that year. I was proud to, and it's not bragging, I was proud to have been nominated or elected with the most votes because I felt that was confirmation that I was on the right track and being that representative that wasn't at the table before. I have been proud to serve as council for 9.5 years. There have been ups and downs. It's been a roller coaster. It's been hard. I've lost sleep. I've missed moments with my family. But I have never once regretted putting my name forward. And I look back in the 9.5 years I've served. I hope I did a good job. I hope I represented you well. And know that every minute has been worth it for me. So, as I close the door, and I open a new one to the future, and I start a new chapter in my life, I want to thank you for my journey and being part of it. This organization and this administration has been challenged with some fairly controversial things over the years.
and the economy, and you've never wavered. You are a magnificent group to work with, and I am so proud that I got to work alongside of you. So I want to say thank you for being, again, part of my journey, and I'll leave you with the Winnie the Pooh quote. How lucky am I to have something that makes saying goodbye so hard. I will forever be grateful as I've grown being your counselor, and I have never regretted it. It's been worth it, so thank you.
I don't think I can take much more of this. Folks, we have to stop ending our meetings like this. I'm going to pass it over to Councillor Long because I can.
That's a tough act to follow, Nicole, so I'm not going to try. But I will say I was sitting over where Tyler was sitting when you first showed up at your first council meeting. And I can assure you, you have made a difference over the 10 years. You actually sat at the same table as me at the 50th anniversary, which I was thinking this morning. So it's been a bit of a journey, not always together, but heading in the same direction. You have made a difference to this community. Your name will be remembered for the difference you've made to this community. We haven't agreed on everything, but it's been an honour to sit next to you here. I have no report otherwise.
How could you? Thank you. And very well said. Councillor Frederickson had a comment.
How do you beat Winnie the Pooh, hey? Gosh. I've only sat with you for a couple years on council. And in that time, your focus and your drive has been quite clear. You've supported women empowerment, not just at your council table, but also federally. You have spearheaded programs that get those people that may think how you thought 10 years ago. Could I do this? To get them out there. And in fact, it was your gung-ho that really ended up being one of those things that pushed me to put my name forward 2 years ago. You have been a champion for youth programming in the community and parks, which speaks to young families such as my own. And most recently, you have been a huge champion for economic development in the community, and I've seen that in the last 2 years. You have a very eloquent way of speaking, and you get your point across very clearly. I would say, I was thinking about this last night, your voice is very assertive, but it isn't aggressive. It's not in any way one to put anybody on the spot for their beliefs, but it does cause people to pause and to think about, why am I choosing to argue this way or decide that, which for this council has been, I think, quite good, and for myself it's been very good because it forces you to really develop your opinion. Just even in the 2 years that I've sat with you, Nicole, it has been great. It's been awesome working with you and sitting with you, and that encouragement and that focus and keeping that community at heart, I think, is definitely a legacy that you can be proud of. And I just want to say thank you for the honor.
Thank you, Councillor Frederickson. And Councillor Wheeler, you've been sitting patiently.
I do have a tiny bit of a report, as much as I'm happy to just indulge with everyone else.
Give us some time.
Yeah.
That's good.
So we are engaging on our sustainability review. The plan is about halfway through the 2015 to 2019, and so we're kind of checking in to see where everyone's at. Our plan includes stuff that the town is working on, but also so many other community stakeholders. So engaging with them and seeing where they're going has been really great to see the progress, and hopefully within the next maybe month-ish we'll be wrapped up and then able to kind of come forward with some updates. I did do the Yellowhead Regional Library trustee orientation, and which was neat to kind of see what they're doing, what they're going on. It's a really great basic orientation to your role as a trustee and what kind of happens. So it was, if anyone else ever becomes the Yellowhead Regional Library representative or their alternate, I would recommend that you go. So with the Healthy Communities Coalition, they have a community helper program, and it was started at the junior high, and they asked all of the students, they did some training with all of them, to identify students who they confide in, who they trust in, but it was all done by just submitting names, and then the school reached out, this group reached out to contact those students and empower those students with knowledge of how to help others, because they're naturally the ones that the students are going to. So I got to just go in and kind of sit and hang out and volunteer with them. We bring snacks and hang out and talk about how they're doing, or if they've had any issues brought forward to them. It's a really supportive group, but at the student level, which is nice to see. So we do have, yes, a lot of upcoming events at the campaign school with the forum and with Family Day. So I hope everyone is out and enjoying February, plus Teachers Convention. So break time.
I didn't have an extensive report planned, so that's probably welcome news by many. Councillor Nadeau, I was hoping you wouldn't do a wrap-up like this, but you have, and you've done so eloquently, as you do so many times. You've said that in 2007, when you first ran for office, you lacked confidence. I wouldn't know, because I joined you 3 years later in 2010, and I didn't see any evidence of a lack of confidence. In fact, if anything, since 2010, you've become stronger, more articulate, clearer in your vision, and better able to communicate that vision. You are precisely the kind of public servant that we hope all of our elected officials are or become. You know, I got into I followed Councillor Nadeau's lead in initiating our, what used to be called the Women in Government program, because I'm a father of daughters. One day I hope my daughters attempt some kind of public service, because I think it's important work. And if they do, I hope they model themselves after you. You put the community first. And we thank you for it. I think I'm going to wrap it up now. Item 10, 10.1 through 10.8 are items to be received for information. Could I get a motion to receive those for information, please? Councillor Frederickson, all in favor? That is carried. Before I ask for a motion to adjourn, I want to say thank you to the 60th anniversary committee for your work. Work's not done, but thank you for your work to this point. In our 60th year, this has been a momentous day, and this chain of office that you've created is it's moving for me, because it's a reminder, a very heavy and warm reminder of the responsibility that the people of Drayton Valley have entrusted to me. And so when I wear it with humility. Thank you again. Take a motion to adjourn. Councillor Nadeau, all in favor? We're adjourned.